Hi guys, welcome to our lesson for today. We are going to solve two-step equations, which is huge and so important, and so I'm really excited about it. Today you're also going to identify, when you are solving two-step equations, how to move that first term, and then isolating the variable. It's just this new language that we're going to get used to. Okay, so opener always, we do have notes, and then homework for today. All right, let's get started. Function Friday. We don't know a whole lot about functions yet, but you guys have learned about evaluating expressions, which is the same thing what I want you to do, but in a function notation. And so see how it says evaluate f of x? It's just right now, it's a really fancy way of saying y equals. So an example of a very fancy way to say my name is Mrs. Wakefield. Some of you know me as Sasha. Some of you just be like, oh, it's my teacher. Those are not fancy ways to say my name, who I am. But Mrs. Wakefield, that's super fancy. So f of x is fancy. Y is like just kind of normal right now. And so y equals 4x minus 5. Now, because it says evaluate, that means we're going to take this 6 and plug it into wherever we see an x. Now, there's no sign in between the 4 and the x, so it is understood that they are multiplying. So this is 4 times 6, and there I am putting the parentheses around it again, good habit to get into. And then I'm going to write subtract 5. It's always a good idea to bring down that y equals as well. And y equals, now we can move from left to right. We have 6 times 4. 6 times 4 is 24. Minus 5, and 24 minus 5 is 19. All right, let's go ahead and write down our big title for today in our notes, solving two-step equations. So pause the video, write this all down, press play when you're ready. Okay, so our whole goal, what we want to do is to get this x by itself, okay? That's the whole goal of solving this equation. And so to do that, we have to look at the equal sign and say, well, there's a negative 6 and there is this 6, okay? So which one do you move first? Well, we don't ever move the one that is right next to it, like hugging it basically, like very close, no sign that's in between the two. So we're going to take this 6 and we're going to move it to the other side first. And when we do that, we have to do the inverse operation, or the opposite, right? What's opposite of adding? Subtracting. What's opposite of multiplying? Dividing. What's the inverse of adding? Subtracting. It's like opposite. So the inverse is going to add 6 and add 6. Now equations are equal, right? It's what they're called. They're equal sign. So that means if I add 6 to one side of the equation, I have to do it to the other, so that way it stays this equal right here. So it's always important to do the same on each side of that equal sign. Now, once we've done that, something really cool happens is this negative 6 and a plus 6 goes away, right? I owe you $6, I pay you back $6. We're even, we're good. So I'm going to bring down the 6x. I'm going to bring down the equal sign, and then I'm going to do that operation of 30 plus 6, which is 36. Okay, so the last part is I need to get that 6 gone. Now, what is that 6 and this x? What is happening between those two? They are multiplying. If there's no addition or subtraction or division sign, we know that they're multiplying. Now, what is the inverse of multiplying? Dividing. So we're going to divide by 6 and divide by 6. Now, you're not going to do that little divided by sign anymore. That's like middle school stuff. When we're dividing, we're going to draw that fraction bar. And so now we have 6 divided by 6. Now 6 divided by 6 can cancel, or 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1 times x is just x. So now we have x equals, and 36 divided by 6 is 6. Now, the cool thing about solving equations is if you were to take this answer of x equals 6 and plug it back in, it will give you your original answer of 30, right? Equals 30. And let's go ahead and check our work. Do you have to check your work for every single problem in my class? No, but I'm going to show you how cool it is when you check your work. Now, so our original equation is 6x minus 6 equals 30. And we're going to evaluate, we're going to take that x and plug it in, right? The 6 into here. So cool, we got all these 6's. All right, so now this is 6 times 6 minus the 6 equals 30. And 6 times 6 is 36. And does 36 minus 6 equals 30? It sure does. That's how you know you did it right as well. If you're struggling and you're like, I don't know if I solved this correct, try to plug it back in and see if it'll work. And if it does, you did it right. Okay, let's take a look at example 2. All right, so we would like to get x by itself. We have these two, the 7, the negative 7, and the 10 are on the same side of this equal sign with the x. So we're going to move the 10 first, and since it is a negative 10, we are going to add 10. Now we have to add it to the other side of the equal sign. So we have to add it below the 4. Draw a straight line across, and let's go ahead and do that math. So now I have, and I'm going to change out my color, I have negative 7x, a negative 10, and a positive 10. They cancel as they should. And then we have equals, and then we have a 4 plus 10 is 14. All right, guys, last step is we are going to now divide by negative 7. Because those two are multiplying just like on that last problem, and we must do it once to each side of the equation to keep it equal, and that means negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1, and 1 times x is x, so now x equals a negative 2 because 14 divided by negative 7 is a negative 2. All right, if I go too fast, you have the cool ability to slow it down by like going back in the video, and I want you to do that. I want you to know that that's part of the process of online learning math, is that you are supposed to stop in this video and go, okay, wait a minute, and then replay it and kind of watch it through. That's a part of this process that I want you to do. All right, so let's do the next example. Pause and write this down and then press play. And don't get freaked out by the fraction bar. It's actually really fun. Okay, so we want to get this x by itself. It's in the numerator of this fraction on the left side of the equation. So you have to think, well, which negative 2 do I move first? The one that's in the denominator, okay? So we need to multiply each side by 2. Why multiply each side by 2? Because that 2 is dividing, right? It's dividing by 2. And the opposite or inverse of dividing is multiplying. Now, what happens next is that you're having a 2, and you're multiplying this guy right here, and it's dividing by a 2, and they will cancel. And then we're going to write down what we had in that numerator, or what's left, which is negative 2 plus x equals, and then now we can multiply 4 times 2, which is 8. Now let's add the 2 to each side, and x equals 10. Okay, we're going to do another one of those again, so no worries. Those ones are a little bit more tough, but I believe in you guys. You got this. Okay, so let's do one a little different. Let's do one where we still have that fraction bar, like right fraction in our equation, but we have also something else written after it. So like take a look at the other example. There was nothing else that was written. The whole thing was a fraction. So when the whole side is a fraction, you want to multiply by that denominator, that 2, to get rid of the fraction. All right, but this one's a little different. This negative 6 is not a part of this fraction. So we're going to tackle that first. We're going to add the 6 to the other side. All right, so let's do add 6 and add 6. So we have -5 plus 6 is a +1 equals x over 8. Okay, so x divided by 8, we need to multiply each side by, you guessed it, 8. So if we multiply each side by 8, and really when you're multiplying by 8, it's like you're multiplying by 8 over 1 and they cancel. I think that's kind of how you've kind of grown up in math, seeing it that way. And so then you have x equals, and then now it's 8 times 1, which is 8. It's kind of cool that x is on the other side. And sometimes they're on the right side, sometimes they're on the left side. And you know, if you want to rewrite it to say x equals 8, that's cool too, or 8 equals x, same thing. Okay, so here it is. Here's the moment where you pause this video and you try these two on your own. Like for real, like on your own. And it's okay if you get stuck. You're gonna get stuck. No one learns something like this right away. No one jumps on a bike and doesn't fall off the first time, right? You're wobbly, you're trying to figure it out. That's what's gonna happen with these two problems. But, and that's okay. That's totally okay. So pause this video right now and try these two out on your own. All right, guys, you ready? Okay, let's see how you did. So the first example, I have that fraction, but there is another number on the outside of that fraction, which is a +4. So then I'm going to subtract that 4 from each side of the equal sign, okay? Which, when I do that, I am now left with x over 4 equals, and then it is 7 minus 4, which is 3. Because those cancel and that. Okay, and then the last step is to multiply each side by 4 to get rid of that fraction. And I'm going to cross that off, and now I'm going to say x equals 3 times 4, and 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, then the next one, same situation. Do you notice that the 10 is on the outside of the fraction? So we're going to subtract that to the other side because it says it's a +10, so let's subtract 10. I don't know if you can see that green. It's a little bit light. Hopefully you can see it. I'll change it anyways, just in case, but let me know if you can see it or not. Okay, so now I have 18 subtract 10, which is going to give me 8. Equals x over 2, because this 10 and that 10 cancels. All right, you guys know what to do. X is being divided by 2, so the opposite of dividing by 2 is to multiply each side by 2. And x, those cancel, is 8 times 2, which is 16. How many of you guys flipped your answers over? X equals 16. Sometimes I do that too. Depends on my mood. Okay, that's it. That is our lesson for today. I hope you guys had a great first week of school, and I hope you enjoy the videos, and I will see you on Monday. Okay, bye guys.